I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube, Joel Sades. That is my buddy Gordon Dymowski. That is my buddy Alan Gallant. We are here to review episode 847. This one was written by Gordon Russell, directed by Leila Swift, narrated by Grayson Hall. So, guys, this starts off at Patofi's lair. Uh, Tim Shaw is pacing back and forth. He's a nervous Nelly, but he's not. He's got some news for Count Patofi that he thinks Count Patofi doesn't know. I love how Beth comes in and says, "I wouldn't sit there. That's his chair. That he doesn't like anybody sitting in there." So, would you guys have the balls to sit in Patofi's chair? I would not. I would not. I would just no.
Not unless he was out of town.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Because then when you're sitting in this chair, you smoke his good cigars, and
Oh yeah,
for those of us who imbibe, you drink his fine brandy. If you don't imbibe, I know he's got seltzer water around there somewhere.
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What did you guys make of this? Because this is like it's in a windmill, right? If I'm not mistaken.
It's just a mill. It's an old mill, and they've like it's like in a sub room of it. I believe it's below ground. Actually, I think we see the door at ground level at one time, and then you see people coming down a stairway. So
yeah,
it's like a basement of an old mill, which you see all of the stonework and so on. But they've obviously tricked it out and pimped it out to be, sort of Patofi's crib a la Aristide. So
yeah. Do you think Aristide did all the work while Patofi instructed? Hey, this is what I want in here.
Oh, I think that he was probably assigned at least some of that duty, to do this, buy that, go get a donkey cart full of this, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Patofi made Aristide clean out the toilet with a toothbrush.
Oh, at least.
Yeah. So Tim Shaw's big news that, hey, Barnabas is dead, and Patofi's like, I'll have to get some flowers for Dr. Hoffman. Julia Hoffman is here in the past. He tried to have Aristide kill her. That did not work. He did not succeed at that. And Aristide has gone MIA.
Yes, because he chased all around the countryside. He thinks that Barnabas is chasing him around the countryside, which of course he's not at this point. So there's some major conceptual stuff going on here, because we discovered just previous to this, not too much previous to this, that because Julia did not live in 1897, that it's only her astral body, and that's why she survives the booby trap, the gun that was set up on the door, so that when Barnabas opened the door, it went off, and it was supposed to kill Julia tied to the chair, but it didn't, because it was her astral body. Barnabas, on the other hand, his real body is in 1897, so his astral form was able to occupy his real body. So we get this kind of whacked out, tricked out sort of concept here about how this kind of time travel works for different people. So that I thought was kind of interesting.
Do you think the writers had this one ready to pull up out of their sleeve? It just seems like they did.
Yeah, I think. I mean, this episode also goes into a lot of character development for several people. Tim Shaw has kind of turned over to the dark side because of his exposure to the hand. I think that, people say, oh well, why didn't his face get scrambled? Well, his brain got scrambled. His ethics got scrambled from having exposure to the hand, and so he becomes kind of sly and shifty and ambitious in some kind of dark ways. And we see Beth is, of course, a woman scorned. So she's gone over to the dark side because she's mad at the world and feels abused, which absolutely she has been in a lot of ways. And so we've got that sort of character change. Julia at this point knows that she's kind of impervious to Pitofi's threats. So that gives her, I think that, I have to complete these tasks, whatever those tasks are. We don't know yet, but she's staying, and Quentin is faced with the ultimate conundrum: do I betray these people? And I feel like I've already betrayed Barnabas, even though it wasn't me that did it. I backed off of it. But Pitofi's making me feel like, oh, I'm totally responsible, that kind of thing. So he's struggling much more. And I think the end result of this struggle for Quentin is that he becomes a better person ultimately. But right now he's just like living on a syringe full of guilt, basically, and conflict. So a lot of stuff's happening in this episode in terms of those kind of transitions and so on. These people.
Yeah, and they would have had to plan this out, especially for this storyline, because if you look at 1897, it's not so much a big arc as like a succession of like mini arcs.
A lot of subplots, yeah.
And it's the fact that they're able to balance them and do it in a way that never feels like there's never like with the Leviathan storyline. It goes, and there's one episode, it's like, here's the info dump and then move on. Here it's also where you see kind of why I think Pitofi is the best antagonist in Dark Shadows, because he's starting to realize that, hey, he can counterplot against the Collins family. You can see where he's trying to realize, hey, there's this I Ching, I can use it for time travel, and he knows this. And especially since at this point we know Charity Trask, we saw it on camera, she's staked Barnabas, and you would not necessarily assume, you would assume that at this point now Quentin's going to be the lead of the show.
Yes.
If you were watching it at the time.
Yes.
We all know better.
First view. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that a lot of the dynamism in the story is helped by the addition of Violet Wells as an actual on-board official writer, throughout the 1897 storyline. Obviously, she's been helping Gordon Russell before this, but her dialogue is like scintillating throughout. She gives Sam Hall a run for his money. But also, I think she's probably thrown a lot of extra stuff in that pot of soup that becomes Dark Shadows at this point in time, too. A lot of ideas, a lot of, or I'll take this aspect of it. Here, you do this. Here, we'll just put these ideas together and make sure that we keep a string of them together so that when we're writing at different times, we don't lose track of them, which must have been a challenge. I mean, they must have probably I would say they probably held a lot more meetings during 1897 than perhaps they had previously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So these episodes were recorded out of sequence. 848 was recorded before 847, which is interesting, which that's okay. But I do love how Julie is like immune to basically death.
Yeah, I mean, at least in 1897, she is.
Yeah, at least in 1897. But I do love Pitofi's threat toward her. Once I get to the present, you will be right there by my side. Like,
yeah, because one way or the other, it's going to be one of you people that blah 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 have come from the future. If it's not going to be Barnabas because he's dead, then it's going to be you. Blah, blah.
Here's a question for you guys: has he, by the time this episode is written or at least aired and watched, do you guys think Pitofi has sort of moved on from, maybe not completely moved on, but moved on enough from the gypsies, and now his soul grudge is now against the Collins family itself?
I think Pitofi is the kind of character who he has various enemies, but he knows where to focus. So right now his focus is on the Gallant family. The gypsies are still, Magda and Sandor are still kind of, they're not out of sight, out of mind, but he knows, okay, I'm going to have to take care of them. I'm going to have to take care of Aristide. I'm going to have to pimp slap pimp slap this Tim Shaw guy because he's just being kind of a dick. So I don't think he's forgotten about them. It's more like, you know what, this is the battle I can fight right now. This is the battle that will serve me most. And then once the Gallant family is dead, it's like, hey, Magda Sandor, go away. Aristide, you're gone. Tim Shaw, get out of here. So that's where I think that's why I think about Petofi. He's a much more complicated villain because I think he knows where to focus his villainy. That makes sense.
It's almost like he presages what's coming, and so he can make his little plans, and he can go from place to place and do all of that sort of thing. So he's an omni-villain. He's got a cosmological thinking going on in terms of what his ultimate plan is. And in the back of his mind, part of that ultimate plan is obviously still escaping the gypsies, because that going 70 years in the future is a heck of a way to escape anybody, So
yeah, for those who are wondering, who have never watched Dark Shadows or watched some 1897, don't remember, Beth, the reason Beth Chavez has joined Petofe's forces is because Quentin agreed to marry Angelique if she helped him, and Beth overhears this. Beth was going to shoot Quentin. Petofe stopped the murder from happening, which ended the prophecy.
Yeah, supposedly that's where the course of history got changed somehow.
Yeah, yeah. How clever do you think the writers were for having Petofe interfere with that?
He's there.
Yeah.
And he is, he has the power to do such things. And, he and Angelique are sort of equals, but he outwits her several times as well. And, eventually, of course, she helps outwit him, but in some ways. But they go back and forth an awful lot. But yeah, I mean, he's there. Why not use him for that purpose? I think.
Yeah, and it increases the stakes of the story because it's no longer just like, looking at past arcs. It's with Laura, it's will she take David into the flames? With Barnabas, it's what's going to happen to Maggie then? What's he going to, is he going to get cured? And I think by this point you need, again, production wise, Frid needed some time off. He was carrying the show for so long. And so you get rid of him. The audience is thinking that, getting rid of Barnabas and now Petofi kind of having this plot makes it good. The audience is probably thinking, oh, wait, this ain't going well. Oh,
yeah,
this is, like all bets are off.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that sort of piques the anticipation of the audience for sure. And, I'd be curious to see whether or not viewership started to peak again about this point, because I mean it sustained quite a while until towards the tail end of 1897 it was really good. So I would imagine that it probably stimulated interest for some people for sure, because it's like, what's happening with Barnabas? He's been staked. What's happening? Everybody's flipping through their vampire lore to see if they pull the stake out, maybe that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Julia's sorry.
It's okay.
Her instructions to Quentin are, hey, Barnabas told me before he got killed that you were to get, if something happened to him, you're to get out of calm sport.
And then he tells her she needs to get lost too, but she knows things and she has things to do, so she's gonna stay.
That's like the weakest cover story.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty much what she said. Well, I've got these things to do,
it's like things. It's like your biggest ally is dead, and you're saying you got things to do.
Well, I promised him I got to do these things. So, yeah, I mean, it is. She's kind of pushing him off, but she's also at the same time like, you got to get out of here. He's not going to kill you. He wants to kill me, but he's not going to kill you. He's going to do something worse to you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. What did you guys think of Amanda Harris and Quentin's love angle here?
Amanda Harris is it's sort of like a mirror of Barnabas and finding, these loves and bouncing off between them and doing all this stuff. And it's even with Angelique, he's doing this, which of course Barnabas did. So, Angelique's getting PO'd about, you can't go away to New York with blah, blah, with Amanda and all of this sort of thing. She's not, obviously she's not a femme fatale. She's more of a sort of a, damsel kind of character. At this point, I think, she's a reason for Quentin to hang around, instead of just like, I'm taking off to Portland or whatever. Although eventually they try to escape together, but she's reticent to do that and this and that and the other thing. And then there's the whole Tim Shaw thing, because there's some residual relationship stuff there with her, and that causes conflict, which eventually is resolved. But, it's sort of, again, it's a reason for kind of sticking around or hesitating at least. So she's definitely, she's the latest love object for Quentin, which again reinforces Beth being down at the mill.
Yeah.
Major resentment there. So that whole thing has its reasons, its dynamics that helps sort of propel certain things. I never thought, and I think that Donna McKechnie's a fantastic performer. She's a theater performer, from way back, obviously, Tony Award winner and the whole 9 yards. But I never thought that Amanda Harris was really as fully developed as it could be. She was just like, something. I mean, there's partially a reason for that. The writers created this character who was only like conjured from being painted. So she doesn't have really a back history, but I don't know. I think she could have been written a little bit better, a little bit more depth. But I understand what the writers were doing and maybe why they kind of put her over here somewhere while they were developing something else over here. So they didn't really get a chance to heavily develop her.
Yeah, and I think with Amanda, because she was conjured, I think they wanted to introduce like maybe an element, as everything is getting kind of darker within 1897, someone who did not conflicted, someone who was not part of that conflict, but someone who you could use to develop Quentin as a possible good guy.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm sure she heard the stories about Quentin being a bit of a man-ho. I'm sure she's heard tales about, and so part of her I don't I don't know if I love you, I can't go with you. A lot of it is, as the episode ends, that kind of distrust of this guy could be a creeper. He's not a keeper, he's a creeper.
Right. The only thing is she had Trask to compare him to. And that was like, okay, I'm going here. Now, the one thing that that did develop in her character, they made her more sympathetic, because originally she's incredibly selfish. Give me the diamonds, give me this, give me that, kind of shallow character. But then again, you're conjured, you're only 2 years old, you're going to be pretty damn shallow. So she's probably been figuring out ways to survive on her own. She's realized she's pretty and men like her and all this sort of thing. And that's how she's managed to survive. And that's how we see her when we first see her. After Quentin, because he does kind of, he is sort of her knight in maybe not shining armor, but rusty armor when it comes to Trask. He confronts Trask directly about that whole thing. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, when you're comparing somebody to like a Reverend Gregory Trask,
forget about
it. Yeah.
Trashy Reverend Trask.
All right. Oh God. Who is you guys' favorite Patofe henchman?
Oh, it's Aristide all the way for me. I mean, Beth is a mess. Aristide knows exactly who he is. He's an evil, vain, whatever. And Patofe appreciates him for that.
Yeah, Beth, yeah. I'd say Aristide, because Aristide pretty much Patofe is getting what he pays for. He's kind of he's basically, yes, I know I'm kind of a douchebag, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
Tim Shaw is like a little, again, he's going to get his, someone's going to eat his lunch at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Beth is doing it out of anger.
Mm-hmm. He's just using Beth as a strategic, like a chess piece or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, so.
Yeah, Michael Straka is just fun to watch too.
Oh, absolutely. He took a great deal of joy in portraying this guy. There's no doubt about that.
I do like Aristide, but I also love how they use Charles Delaware Tate with Patofe too. I thought that was really unique. Working with him and stuff, that was cool. Roger Davis, I thought that was a really interesting character for him to play. Coming off of being a vampire, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think 1897 he has some of his best moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Roger Davis.
But yeah, really, really cool. Do you guys have a favorite scene in this episode?
Oh, for me, it's the whole Tim Shaw gets his comeuppance when Patofe just says, "Oh, isn't that interesting? Barnabas Collins is dead." Well, all right, it's like he's expecting him to fawn all over him and give him money or something. So I enjoy that. That also sort of is a dynamic that propels Tim Shaw into more action, or more attempts at getting Patofe's favor, which culminates in the I Ching trance at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'd have to say the I Ching sequence is mine, because I love how Leela Swift, she does like surrealism on a budget very well.
Absolutely.
Where it goes from you see the wands on the table, and then you see the wands on the door. The door opens, the camera pushes in, and then it goes into that scene which we suspect is a dream sequence.
Mm-hmm.
But it's and Quentin's wearing that weird mask.
That thing is spooky. That thing was scary, I think, especially for kids when they first saw it.
Yeah, but I love that kind of, we want to go for atmosphere, but we can't throw fog machines into the studio because nobody will be able to breathe.
That's right.
How do you do it? You just take a blank stage, barely lit. You put a door in. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they must have cleared out the middle of the studio or something for all of that, because you have to have some space for that. When they did Julia Coming to the Past, they did a whole series of doors. That was interesting as well.
Yeah. So. And the fact that they made it look different than the way Barnabas had just one door, and they were really creative with their effects and what they were able to do. I mean, it was, I don't care what anyone says, it holds up really, really well.
It does. And one of the people that was really responsible for that, aside from Cy Tomashoff, designing things when he was asked to, was probably Bob Costello. because as he was kind of the line producer, and he also was something of an artist, so he could sketch out stuff and come up with, to scheme things, and then take it in front of the different people, like the tech director and the lighting people and the director and all those people. So he did a bunch of that stuff apparently.
Yeah, really, really cool. Yeah, the whole I Ching Wan's Tim Shaw. Basically, you have Pacific conducting a little experiment, and he's using Tim Shaw as his little puppet or pawn, if you will. And the whole how I agree with you guys. How Leela shoots it, she's an amazing director.
She was.
Absolutely.
Especially when you consider that the camera setups those cameras were not light. You actually push them.
Yes. They're huge. I mean, I think I may have mentioned this before, but the zoom lenses, the little box on the front of them, weighed 60 pounds by itself. So the entire thing, they weighed, hundreds of pounds. They were just ridiculously heavy.
Really, really cool. Is there anything you guys want to add before we go?
No, I think this is a great episode. I think it's got a lot of transitions happening in it, a lot of developments happening in it. There's a lot going on in this episode. Is psychologically as well as in terms of action and dynamics. So it's great.
Is there an episode you guys want to do tomorrow, or?
Let me think. Lord. How about episode 331? Have we done that?
We can do it. I mean, even if we have, it's all right.
Okay.
Which episode is that?
This is the episode where little David is hanging out with Sarah. She's trying to tell him stuff. There's a whole lot of dynamic about, Barnabas Collins is dead, that kind of stuff going on. And Roger goes over to the old house, and Barnabas, kind of BS's him about David and all this sort of stuff. So it's kind of the child's eye view episode.
Yeah, it's just I tend to think more in terms of like the one where Angelique does this, or the one where David does this versus episode numbers.
Yeah.
Although I would love to know the episode, which is the final time that Roger Collins smashes a brandy snifter in his hand.
That would have been planned for episode 1226, but they didn't have it, right? Because they didn't go back to the present. Let's see here. I can give you a better description of 331 here real quick. Sarah comes to David in his bedroom, tells him cryptic things, as usual, and tells him to stay away from the old house, and gives him a toy soldier for protection. That's when we see the toy soldier. Maggie ends up getting it at some point. Or no, she had she already had it, I think, and then she got it back. But this is also, I think, the first time we see Bill Baird's bat.
Cool.
Comes flying through David's window, and then mysteriously disappears, and the doors are locked to the window, and of course everybody thinks David is crazy, and his imagination is running away with him. So that's essentially it. Again, it's a child's eye view, and it's a nightmare for a child when the adults won't believe them. I mean, it's a total nightmare for a kid if they've seen something that they know is true, and the adults
won't. Yeah. All right, guys. Are we all good for the episode tomorrow?
331.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Link to Gordon Dymowski's Amazon page and website's going to be in the description box. Link to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel, Collins Sport After Dark, is going to be in the description box. And link to Patrick McRae's Dark Shadows Day Book of Bounds is going to be in the description box. You guys have a safe night. Take care.
Yep. Patrick, have a good time.
Hey, Patrick, have fun.
Have fun.